So welcome to this episode of the Holly Hughes Podcast, where creative people come together for conversations and community. And today I'm very excited to introduce you to director, writer, and producer Vince Duqué, who has an amazing history from California to France, although I guess I should say the U.S. to France.
I mean, LA, I was born in New York, but,
I always forget that part.
I was born in Queens, Flushing.
Flushing. That wasn't that far from where I would grow up. So
where did you grow up?
Way out on Long Island, Suffolk County. Yeah.
Right.
My joke is, right, I don't identify as a New Yorker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I don't. That's not my vibe. The only thing is that's still New York about me is my love of mascara, a good leather jacket. Oh, I love a good leather jacket. And I think that's totally like my era of growing up there. And I like to say fuck.
So that, other than that, there's no New Yorker.
No, I felt way more at home in LA when I lived there. So I want to say thank you for coming. You and I have had a conversation previously, but we got way too personal about some stuff. And I really wanted to share you with my audience in a way that, I don't know, that highlighted you in like what you're doing and your process. Because, you've been there, done that, and now you're doing a really intimate project, and it's brave of you. So why don't you tell people about this project in your own words?
I am writing, directing, producing,
starring,
playing the lead role in a feature film that is a traditional narrative, but is experimental. It takes from different genres. It's a road movie, but it also has a video or sort of a tone poem, video essay aspect to it.
I like that. It does. So I would also call it like close to the bone fiction.
Yeah. So they call it these days, I mean, some people call it autofiction. So it's like an autobiographical, but it's fiction because I'm playing a character that's not my name. And I have characters who are real people, but they're not trained actors, and they're playing heightened versions of themselves. And I have a couple of actors playing other people, but they're based on real people as well. So, I felt like I was the only one who could play the role because I was going to demand a lot of work in terms of the process. I was really wanting to try an iterative process to refining the story from the beginning because I didn't want to do the typical thing. I think when you are in Hollywood and you want to make a feature film, you want to make the script perfect. People always ask you on the street, what's the log line? Give me the elevator pitch. And I think I was so, in my whole life of trying to make a movie, this is my first feature film that I'm directing. And, I have a 20-some year background.
30?
Assistant.
Just saying.
No,
I did the math. I was thinking, I was like, I know, isn't that mean?
Crazy. So 30
crazy.
Years of experience. I mean, 30 years of assistant directing experience in different genres. Feature films, comedies, 1-hour dramas, sports.
Yeah, you've been there and done all that. But what I loved, because you sent me some stuff so I could like sneak peek, one of the fascinating and beautiful things about you is your vulnerability. You always are. If someone meets you, there's an aspect of vulnerability, and then you have that wicked playfulness. So I just like, this interesting teeter-totter.
It's just no me throwing you off.
Honestly. Yeah, I know you like that. But you also have this thing when I think of you and your storytelling, not like when you're working for other people, helping them do things, but you are about safety, belonging, and identity.
Yeah.
And then when you help other people make movies, like you even have this clip in your movie now when you're standing on Hollywood Boulevard, right? And you're like, I'm here to make it safe. Like we got to lock down the street. We got to do this. We got like all the mechanics of something. It's like a beautiful dichotomy that I don't know how to express to people who haven't been in film, who don't know the madness behind the lens.
It's so true. People don't really understand that. And, it's interesting because I am in a city that is madly in love with cinema. There are so many movie theaters here. You can watch every classic that is in the 100 top AFI movies, and they're all playing in a theater somewhere at some point in the week. And I love that. And so people really get, they get really touchy about the movies as if they were betrayed by the actor or the director. And then I'm often having these kinds of conversations to kind of tell them the reality of things. An example was, quickly yesterday, I was having a discussion with someone about Elvis and Austin Butler. And Austin Butler is a, kid I mentored when he was 17. And so the guy was going on and on about his acting. He was overacting. And I know Austin spent 2 years trying to be Elvis. We had conversations on the phone while he was in production in Australia, freaking out. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm playing this icon and Elvis is watching me and everybody's expecting me to play Elvis and do this. And he's going bananas in his hotel room. So, it is so difficult to do these kinds of things. So when I hear people get into the movies as if, oh, well, you should have done better, or it's the director's fault, the writing isn't any good. And they don't even know the stories about the studio, the compromises you have to make. Maybe
million
you didn't have any.
compromises of just the day, right?
Just the day. I mean, and everybody has decision-making abilities that you don't as a director sometimes, or even as an AD. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I completely resonate with what you just said.
Yeah, I think people need to remember there's like the story, there's the idea, the spark that started the script. And then there's the business of filmmaking. And then there's everyone on set, every department head, everybody on set has a dream of making that thing come true. Craft service does too. They're there keeping you going, right? There's like so many
I mean, you hope.
Intricacies trying to give you this shot, this beautiful shot.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that we being the crew are really dedicated in a way that is inspiring to me, because you just don't see that kind of care. I mean, you see that kind of care, like, I think if you're a professional athlete, or if you're doing something where you have to win something in that way, but everybody's getting paid a lot of money, so there's just this kind of vision. I think I would even go as far as to say that a film crew is much more passionate and much more honest and when I mean honest, not honest in you're not telling a lie or something like that, but more in terms of work integrity, in that we just all love what we do, or at least need to show that kind of love, because it's so grueling.
Yeah, you have to be driven.
Driven, that's a great word, driven. And I would say even more so than a military unit. And having been in the military, so I can say this as an Army officer,
As a West Point grad, let's drop that. Come on.
I would go out on a limb to say I would take my film crew over my tank platoon to war, just because of how they handle situations.
I got some PAs you definitely can't take, but that's like a story for another day. I want to circle back into your movie now. I want to know like your working title, and I want to know what is with the main character's name.
The title of the movie for now, I think it's going to stick, but it's called Je m'appelle Alvie Balicoco, which is in French, my name is Alvie Balicoco. So it's a bit of a declaration, it's a bit of a play on words. It's me saying, here I am, this is who I am. It's a story about coming finally to that place of full individuation, where you really acknowledge your shadows as part of who you are, and you really absorb the whole spectrum of your soul, not just the good parts or the parts where people reward you or make it conditional for you to behave in that certain way. You just have bad things that you have to go through. Like, for example, me having a lot of abandonment issues or people-pleasing things that I don't necessarily struggle with the way, let's say, I used to in my 20s, 30s, but it's still there. I still feel these feelings, and where I'm feeling them presently is in terms of my movie, rejection-wise. So I'm really somatically feeling and checking in with myself all the time when I've been putting these clips out, and they're just first drafts.
They're good though. I'm not that
They're
nice, you know that. Wait, I would like to tell people I have a really critical eye, and that's because I'm always being judged, right? Like just from writing, reading, all my friends who are still in entertainment, and I get sent scripts from them, just people asking me for feedback. So when I saw your clips, what I was so excited about, I'll get emotional. I love your storytelling. I love your eye. I love the angle in which, no, see, I didn't pack a fucking tissue next to me.
that's
No,
so
because
cute.
I've always seen you as the person like I was who made things happen for other people. I knew what
Yeah.
you wanted to do, but I hadn't ever really had the opportunity to see you fully, your story, your vision in any way, like out there like that. And so for me, I was like, I get it. And then I'm like, oh, I get it. And then like a whole other level of, I get it. Right? There's so much more to it. And you haven't even put the music all in and you haven't done the pretty cut or whatever. But I think what you're representing is just like how you speak is the multi-layer of an individual and a story. And you're somehow simultaneously putting it out there, which I think is daring nowadays when we flip through our phones for a 30-second clip. You're asking people to sit in themselves.
Well, I don't know if it's that singular, I think, or binary in the sense that it's good or bad. I'm really leaning toward the idea of how do I embody the spirit of I don't give a fuck. So in order to
You
do
have that
that,
thought while you do it? Like, honestly, is that what you think?
I don't say that in terms of being rebellious or rejecting the rejection. It's not defensive. It's confident or trying to be confident, but it's also I just want to come from a place where I am expressing my voice fully.
Yeah, you are. So, what
So
made you do it? What made you jump off that cliff?
I've been wanting to do it for probably 20 years now. I just didn't know how to do it.
Or did you know too much about how to do it and so you didn't do it?
I think, I mean, look, I was trying to be a surrogate white guy. For example, I've just stumbled onto a pitch deck, like a kind of a sizzle reel that I did for a West Point series that I wanted to pitch like 15 some years ago. And this is at the time that sort of like the new golden age of television was starting to happen, right? With that series with Kevin Spacey on Netflix. But that was the first show that Netflix like said, "Hey, we're here, we're making production." You know, Hulu was making stuff. So I was at the precipice of that with this series, and I wasn't clever enough to write it in a way that was just this kind of heartfelt, what I thought was going to be a kind of a Dead Poet Society television series. I was so wishy-washy because I was open to pivot. Is this a CW show? Is
Right,
this
right,
is it for Fox? Or is it
right.
for NBC? Or is it for CBS? Or is it for Netflix? So
Like,
you
does
can
that even
change.
exist anymore? Now it's right.
So
It's
you can change
crazy.
that kind of stuff. And I
Right.
made the lead character a white guy.
Uh,
So I was literally writing a vanilla version of what I would have written today. And I just didn't know how to be someone who was going to tell my own story because it was also supposed to be a way of life. Like, you know, I wanted to direct for a living. And part of I don't give a fuck is, I mean, you know, I'm broke. I went all in and it's scary, you know? And so this I don't give a fuck is a kind of is a an engine for me, but again, not rebellious, but more like, okay, you know what? This is if you really want to embody the idea of I don't give a fuck, or like you want to be that artist. How do I become the Snoop Dogg of Vince Duqué? How do I become the P.T. Anderson of Vince Duqué, whatever that is, or Wes Anderson, or all these my my art, not oh I'm inspired by
mhm.
this director or I'm wanting to emulate this director. No, who am I as a
What's your
storyteller?
voice? Yeah.
And I was never going to be able to do it before because I just wasn't ready. I needed to be more creatively ready. And being in Paris has allowed me to do that because I'm just going to the movies all the time. And I'm studying all the time. I'm listening, watching French movies. I'm watching so many different movies from all over the world. I'm getting a perspective of art. The kinds of conversations that I have here about cinema, I never would have had in LA. I didn't have access to those kinds of people. Like, they just didn't see me that way, or maybe they're around. I mean, I have these kinds of conversations with, Austin Butler. Very thrilled to be in touch with someone who, I mean, talk about a guy who just, like, he did it. He's making it. And I'm hearing about his struggles creatively. I'm hearing about the demands on him. So it's reflecting on me as well. It's like, and I'm projecting the future, because I don't think I'll ever be able to make a movie like this again.
Well, you would have told the story, so you get to tell another one.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, because this is my own money, I could just do whatever I want. I could slow down. I mean, I took, in terms of the iterative process, I didn't even start with a script. I started with an idea. I wanted to buy the camera. I said, we got to shoot. We have to just do something, because I don't want to do the thing where I'm writing a screenplay for the next 10 years, because I might be dead.
I was going to ask you that. So it was like, was it an idea that just like bolted you up in bed in gay Paris, and like, you're like, give me my phone, I'll use this if I have to tell the story? Or were you more...
I mean, look, I think I've been doing that. I think projecting these ideas since 2014. I was selected in the Walt Disney ABC Fellowship, and I was one of the 13 directors. Ryan Coogler was in my class. He went on to do Fruitvale Station, which was so smart, and I thought I was the one who was like, hey, man, I've got 20 years of experience. I'm going to be good. I'm on the fast track. Nope. Certainly wasn't on the fast track at all. So at the time, I thought I was going to be an episodic television director where I would just pay the bills, do some really good work, be on shows that allowed me to practice and be creative, willing to play traffic cop for showrunners, for really interesting showrunners, for sure. I mean, I was open to anything. Obviously, I wanted to start my directing career. And then the B part of that plan was I would save enough money to make my own independent features. And then the hope was, if I did 4 episodes, as if getting 4 episodes is so easy, I would do 4 episodes a year and 4 to 5 different shows, hop around, and that would be living all right, then saving money to do this independent feature. And then when I was going through the fellowship, I realized I didn't want to be an episodic director.
Ooh.
Because I was
It's a really interesting thing. Again, for people who don't know, episodic directors show up for an episode. Like, there's a production crew, there's a producers, there's like corporate, there's all that stuff. And you pop in and pop out. Sometimes you pop in a couple times. The smartest gig to get is directing a pilot, because then you get paid forever for that show.
Forever.
But a director doesn't really have that much power, I think, on episodic. I mean, they do. They can definitely rattle the cage. Some of them do just because they can. But it's an interesting way to like have a vision, but you still have to fit into what the show is.
I mean, I think there's just a television mindset that you have to have. I mean, not just in terms of creatively, I think in terms of how you get your gigs, really understanding the protocol, and in terms of if you wanted to make some creative choices, how do you go about doing that? There's a way to go about doing that.
Yeah, there is. There's one episodic director. I loved him. He showed up on, I guess, what were we on then?
You and I?
Yeah, I think
Seventh Heaven?
Was it Seventh Heaven? It might have been Seventh. It might have been Malibu Shore. I don't remember.
I wasn't on that.
Well, I'm putting you there anyway. But this guy was so cool. Richard King. I don't know. He did a lot of Buffy after, but he came on. He made friends with crew. He was like, "This is how we're doing it. I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to fight for someone to respect you. I respect this person, and we're going to make that happen." And he really rallied people in a way I hadn't seen in years. I was like, I like this guy. Like, he's going to go far. And then him and there's one other, David Semmel, really blew up too. But it's kind of interesting. When I met these people, they were at the beginning, more at the beginning. I was like, oh.
Yeah, so I felt like I could get into David Semmel territory at some point, right? But like I was going to start here.
He was such a schmoozer.
But this is kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah. These kinds of things. I think you have to be really skilled to be a good community man, community person. I don't even like calling it networking. I think you really have to be immersed in the community in the right ways so that you are visible and you get
Yes.
on the grid. You got to get on the grid. So if you're not on the grid,
Get on the grid.
you got to get on the grid. And ABC has a grid, CBS has a grid.
Yep.
Everybody has their grid. And then next thing you know, the person that was hiring you at CBS leaves the gig, leaves the network. Now you need to
Yeah, you got to find where they're going, where they're leaving. I was like, I knew no one. Like, did you know anyone? I showed up, I knew no one. I did some like super low budget stuff at Chanticleer, but I remember when I was at Spelling and like a lifelong friends, like my friends moving to town can get him a PA gig, and all I kept thinking, no one ever did that shit for me.
I
You
know.
didn't like right, but I gave the guy because he was such a good guy. I gave him a shot, and he was fine, and he's lovely and very sweet, and everyone remembers him. But I was like, damn, imagine your first gig being at Spelling. Hey, welcome. I know you don't even know how to, that Pico and Olympic run parallel, but here's a job. Like, what is that?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I got into the Directors Guild training program. So that was,
Yeah.
I mean, that opened all the doors for me. That was a very significant
That's
move
pretty
on my part.
significant. Okay, so wait, I want to
yeah.
get back. I want to stick to this movie
Go.
because, like, you and I can go deep in the back, but we're here. We're making this thing happen. So, did you have a timeline? You're like, okay, I'm going to shoot this. Obviously, you're not shooting on film. What are you shooting on?
So I'm using a Sony A7 S3, and it's raw digital files that the A7 puts out, and I wanted to go with an A7 because it was compact. I've seen the A7 being used on series television for B-roll shots, so it's broadcastable.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a small footprint wherever I went. I wasn't gonna get any permits. I was just gonna shoot. And the thing
I
is,
like how you say that subliminally. You don't even know, but you're like, you licked your teeth in your tongue, like, I'm running under the radar here.
well, look, the reason you can do that now is because there's influencers everywhere shooting. So, I mean, I can do the same thing, but I'm making
Yeah.
movies instead of 30-second videos. So I wanted to be able to be mobile, and I wanted to buy a camera that I was gonna be able to afford to have, because my feeling was I wanted to just shoot stuff. And again, the push for this idea is because when I was an assistant director, I felt like I was always asking for permission to shoot. I didn't want to ask for permission anymore. Again, this is all part of the I don't give a fuck. So it's like, I'm just going to do whatever I want.
That's so your journey, right? Like the whole thing with this personal story is, again, when I talk about like belonging and identity with you, right? And safety, I think you have to be broken in a very specific way to make it in film and TV, right? We are
Or
all,
America.
right. Yeah. Well, I think especially there, I think for me, like the neurosis, the people pleasing, the use, the comfort in abuse of some kind, because the environment isn't kumbaya. It's really not. Even when there's
It's a
getting
jungle.
along, it's a jungle. You have X amount of money and X amount of time, and you got to get it done. And so, survival of the fittest sometimes.
Sprinkle in the politics. I mean,
Yeah, and the talent, and then the no talent, and the like,
all
all
of
the
it.
things. But I think, like, in listening you to say that, where I wasn't asking for permission, in the way that you're doing all of this, is that individuation. Like you said, it's that liberty. Like, let's pick a French word. You don't want to hear me speak French, but like that liberty, that moment of, I am Vince Duqué, and fuck it, this is me, and this is the story, and this is how we're doing it. I love that. There's no meanness in it. It's just empowering.
I do want to say this, and I appreciate you saying that, because I think if we're creating the myth of Vince Duqué, certainly that's how you would want to tell the story. But it's survival. Look, I still have days where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? There was a time I shot there's like a leg 3 going back to LA. I didn't have a great experience. I came back home to Paris completely depressed. I spent 2 months in my bedroom, basically. I was in a dark space, and it took me a lot to get out of it. It was a friend I met, dear friend. Her name is Jean Rooney, and I met her in Dublin. And she was very supportive and incredibly loving to me. And she's Irish. She was just the kindest person, to me, and got me out of the dumps. And I got back on the saddle again. I don't get up out of the saddle and look in the mirror and go, you got this. I don't do all of that. For me, it's like, just what's next? Okay, so I really going, okay, what do I have here? What do I need? How do I do it? And meanwhile, there's the voices going, you're an idiot. You suck. Give up. Get a day job. Why did you do this? You don't have any talent.
The liar in your head.
Well, it's like, but this is what I'm kind of saying about the shadows, which is, I think it's like,
is that what your depression sounds like? Or is like depression more energetic for you? Like, does it just like weigh you down and it just makes everything hard? Or is it a voice in your head?
that's all. It's all of it. I mean, it's loneliness. The depression comes from loneliness. I mean, I don't have my friends from LA. I don't miss America per se, but I do miss the comforts sometimes. I miss being able to talk to my friends. I miss people who know me. This is what the movie is about.
If you're at a transition point in your life and you're wondering, how do I go from point A to point B? I'm tired of being defined by what other people think of me. Read my book, Real Not Perfect, How to Become Your Happy, Authentic Self. It's a step-by-step guide to help you reclaim your voice, your passion, and your self-worth. Available at all booksellers and in the links below.
The movie is essentially about a Filipino-American immigrant in Paris. This person has immigrated from a first world country where you're supposed to be able to chase your American dream, and said, fuck it, I can't live here because I'm just going to blow my brains out, literally. And it's not Emily in Paris where, okay, I'm going to imitate, it's cafe and croissants. No, it's like, I love it here in the sense that it's just, there's so many great things, but I am an immigrant. I don't have my friends. I can't speak French the way I want to be able to articulate myself. I speak like a 7-year-old,
I get that.
And, it's frustrating a lot. I'm 4.5 years in now. So essentially, if you think about it, like I graduated high school after the 4 years. So I'm now in Paris College. I'm a freshman in Paris College. It's like I know stuff. I know where things are, which is great. But it's not easy, and it's lonely. And I mean, for me, I can't speak for anyone else who Americans who live here. I can just only speak for myself. But it's not easy. Anyway, the movie is about really taking an honest look at the idea of reinvention. That reinvention, at least for me, is not the you got this. I don't give a fuck. It's more like it's the day-to-day roller coaster of hanging in there. There's the things that you need to keep you afloat. So in this particular case, it's Alvie's dedication and love for the band U2, who is basically his savior. He goes to a U2 concert at the Sphere in Vegas. He brings his French friend Florian, who is kind of his friend. He's never been to any family events with this guy because you don't get to go to family events with your French friends because you're not part of that.
Yeah.
But he wants a wingman because maybe if he has a wingman who loves you too, he's now going to have somebody who can be his homie. He's looking for a homie, right? They make a detour to Los Angeles because he needs to get some gummies because they don't have good weed in Paris.
I noticed that you say that in the movie.
It's in the movie. And it turns into, oh, let me tell you my life story. And so for him, subconsciously, it's let me make an Insta best friend by let me just tell you everything about me. Let me have someone.
Let me trauma bond and give you everything I know about myself. Blah, blah, blah.
Right? All of it. Like, bleh. And as he's doing it, he has to confront his past. The ghosts haunt. He opens the Pandora's box and the ghosts kind of come out. There's a whole thing about LA at present day, 2024, because look, it's a bad time. And are we charting that? Are we really, we need to really commemorate this period of Hollywood. It's really like 20 years from now, they're going to do studies about this time and how it all went to hell.
It's so weird. It's so weird to me. But that's a whole other episode. Like that's a whole other thing. I think I want to know what U2 song pulls you out when you're feeling down. So I know you actually, right?
So many. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
But do you have like a one, like the go-to or not? Like if
It
you
just
opened up your Spotify, like what's your top song?
it just depends on if I want to feel melancholy or if I want to rock out so that I can
I want you to
feel.
rock out. I want to know about rocking out.
It would be a song called Acrobat from the Acting Baby album. In fact,
Mm.
in the movie, Alvie goes on a mushroom trip and he embodies being Bono and then he does the whole song. So I did the video, I shot it, so I have the whole music video as Acrobat. The whole thing's not gonna make the movie. But I'm in full Bono outfit. In fact, hold on. Somebody, Jean Rooney, by the way, she did it. She made this for my birthday.
That's epic.
Look it. It's got a journal because he writes in his journal. It's got a camera.
It's the glasses.
I mean, he's got great hair. Look at that. I mean, this is epic. It's just so anyway, the magic of the movie is that the movie has really opened the doors for me. It was artistically a place for me to really sort myself out as well because I had to really be honest. I really wanted to be honest in this movie. And I didn't want the idea of reinvention to be to betray the incredible difficulty it is to uproot yourself mentally, spiritually, physically. And it's not romantic. Again, it's not Emily in Paris.
No, you know
It,
what it
you
reminds me
know,
of a bit? Right now, like as you're talking, I'm trying to rack my brain. It's the name of the movie, but it was one of the movies. It came out when Ed Burns started becoming something, right? In the late 90s, early 2000,
okay.
when independent filmmaking made movies
Yeah.
that big studios wouldn't,
Yeah.
right? Because they did the things that you're talking about, right? They
Yeah.
told a smaller story, an individual story. Everything
Yeah.
didn't have to blow up and explode. It wasn't like Marvel 10.10 times the 10th power. And there's a time and a place for all that. I'm not saying go
Yeah, I
enjoy it.
understand.
Like
Yep.
I'm good. I got Guardians of the Galaxy figurines on my desk. But the point really is the human element of Guardians of the Galaxy is that human element, that emotional truth, right? So, gosh,
Totally.
Roger something. I'm gonna have to look it up. And it was like a dinner table scene. And what I loved about it is they didn't do coverage. They literally just tracked around the table. So sometimes you were listening to dialogue and it was like the back of their head.
I want to say it's not Roger Corman, obviously, but
No.
it's I know it's not the Nashville director. Hold on.
Anyway, but like watching the bits that you shared with me of your movie, that's what it reminds me of. Like what I
Oh,
think movie making needs to go back to is like storytelling.
Robert Altman.
Yes. Thank you. Like, I think what you're doing is storytelling. And I think you were reckless and brave at the same time because you said, fuck it. I'm going to tell this story. What point did you actually have a script so you weren't just shooting rambling?
I was doing two things. I was already shooting a couple short films. In fact, I wanted to test the idea of having this camera everywhere. So the Olympics happened in Paris. So I shot all over the place. I brought my camera everywhere and I started to develop this character, Alvie. And it was me. So I was just kind of creating this idea of this character and how I would work in the camera. I wanted to understand what is it going to be like to direct myself? What was the infrastructure by which I needed to allow me to do this thing, which was direct
Act.
and act, and also write, being able to almost improvise on the fly for myself, but also think about the editing and think about, oh, I got to remember I was on this angle and I need to say that, which I got into trouble a lot on this movie. So the editing has been quite an adventure, but it's okay because it has a style, it has a personality that I don't think you could have gotten if I was doing it conventionally. In any case, about the story, it was originally going to be kind of a mockumentary about this older Filipino-American guy who was so obsessed about U2. He called himself an art historian. So I thought it was going to be kind of a Spinal Tap where people were going to interview me as this obsessive. And we went to Dublin. So we went to Bono's house. We went to where U2 first met. We went to Bono's mom's grave. She died when he was 14. And that event is how the band became to be. A lot of his music is based on the loss of his mother or the struggle the family struggle. I mean, there's so much on a lot of the songs that people don't know, but they're really about his mother. Anyway, so we shot all this stuff. That was December of 2023. So we had the concert. So we were going to do the concert in April, go to LA, do a road trip to Vegas. So it was because it's a road trip movie.
Yeah.
So it's LA, road trip to Vegas, concert, shoot the concert. So I was taking smaller cameras, a small compact camera with a microphone into the venue. Then we went to Seattle to meet up with a friend who I met through seeing a concert in Hawaii. I didn't know why. I just wanted to see him. I wanted to shoot that. I didn't know what the connection was. So we were just kind of like, he had a YouTube man cave. He's a white dude from Arizona, but they live in Washington. He's married to a Thai woman. So it was like this really interesting combination of things that I just wanted to instinctively capture somehow. And so we did that in April. I had a bit of a scriptment. So beats,
Okay.
possible dialogue, but really flying by the seat of my pants. Something real happened on the road trip to Vegas in which I somehow got the wrong date for the concert.
Oopsie.
I thought it was going to be the next day because I was like, okay, we're going to chill. We're just going to mosey on into Vegas, have a good night, have a few cosmopolitans, whatever, and then have the concert the next day. But it was in 3 hours. So it was weird because it was like surrealistically weird because I was getting into like reality show mode. I was living the experience of being stressed about the situation, but I was also saying to my camera guy, we need to shoot all of this. Because now we have an obstacle that we didn't have before. It was just going to be going, I was always thinking, we don't have anything that's worthy of like giving the audience some surprising adventures. And so I was almost kind of, again, inclined to give in to the idea that, okay, it's just a tone poem. It's just my first movie. We'll make it an art film. It doesn't matter. But with this situation, the story now had some surprises.
Yeah, you had your conflict. You had your obstacles. Your character had an obstacle. He done messed up.
Exactly, right?
He done messed up, Ron. Just messed up.
So then I play that entire night, right? Okay, we need more. So I get into this frenzy acting-wise. Okay, we're going to get into this. It's got to be something. How is this affecting him? So I'm getting into acting mode, and I'm not a trained actor. So I'm just like going deep into my dark black heart and thinking about my mom dying, thinking about my grandmother dying, thinking about my cat dying, thinking about I'm going to miss this concert. It's my fault. Fucking Paris sucks. Like just really working myself into a frenzy. Just start bawling. And so now I'm in the zone. So no longer am I Vince trying to get to the space. I'm now Alvie. And it just took my body over. And then we had to shoot coverage. So I had to get his coverage and I couldn't get back into that space. So I had to manufacture yelling at him because I just wanted his reactions. Because the main idea instinctively, again, not written, was I thought, oh, this is where the cold French guy isn't vibing with what's going on here. And
The emotional American.
Alvie needs this guy to comfort him. And he's not doing anything. So now there is even more conflict. There's even more tension, right? Which is great. It's great for the movie.
Good.
And then we go to U2 and it's like amazing. We grab some stuff. So again, that's April. And I knew we had to come back. I didn't think we had the whole movie when I came back. Because I was going to shoot the beginning, which is in Paris, and the end, which is in Paris. But I didn't really know what that beginning and the end was yet. So I wrote a script. We're going to shoot in November, and I have a pink version of the script. So that's how many iterations that it was going through, right? So I not only had a production draft, I had a blue draft, and then I had a pink draft going into shooting, knowing full well that I was still open-ended to things. And so to the point that you asked so long ago, how did I come up with the story? That's how it came to being. Is a
You
lot
let
of
life take you.
trust. A lot of I was also working on my character, so I was going to LA to these master classes of feeling and behavior, movement work. I was doing a lot of movement work with a story specialist named Joan Shekel, who was the consultant on Little Miss Sunshine. And I love that movie. I learned so much about storytelling from taking those workshops. They were expensive as hell, but I thought they were going to be incredibly worth it because it was going to be something that I would have forever, right? These lessons. The two of the biggest lessons I learned from those workshops was, one, not to think of story anymore from protagonist, antagonist, conflict. Protagonist, antagonist, conflict. It was more like getting the character through a complex emotional journey. And then get through the truth of whatever the core of your movie is, but going through the mountain of that as opposed to going around it. So for example, if you do a love story, you can always change the durations of the process of, let's say, falling in love, but you can't skip the moments, or we go like, this is not working.
This is how I work when I write. It's when I write fiction, because it doesn't work the same when I write nonfiction. But for me, there's always the difference between plot and emotional arc.
Yeah.
And the plot's harder for me because you have to hit beats. Otherwise the story won't work, right? Yeah. Midpoint is midpoint. Like there's certain things that you have to hit.
I don't abide by those anymore. I think instinctively I do, but like I have really thrown out, for me, I am not pshawing the American approach at all. I mean, look, there's a gazillion people that are doing quite well, living high on the hog with these methods, but I don't think they work for me because I can't. Let me give you a real funny story. So there's a producer who I respect very much, and she wanted to read my script, and she ended up only reading the first 5 pages, but whatever. And then she said, you know, what's missing is the quest. It's missing the quest. And I wanted to say to her, well, maybe if you had read page 6, you would have seen the quest. But there was really no quest. I mean, the quest was she goes, I know it's to go to the U2 concert, but what is the quest? And I thought, well, that's the point, is I didn't want to write a story where somebody knew exactly what they wanted in first 10, 20 pages.
That is the emotional arc. Like what you're saying is the emotional arc. I'm saying for me, I always start with an emotional truth of my character, whatever that longing is, that pain point. But for me, making the plot on like how to make it worse for my character, just like you're saying, wrong date, road trip. I need the love of my French friend here, right? Like all of that, those are plot points. And so for me,
sure,
just
definitely.
like you, the struggle is the plot point, but like then when you see it and recognize it, you're like, that's the magic.
Yeah.
I just think I love how you were like so indie filmmaking it. A man with decades of experience can still have the passion and the creativity to come at it with fresh eyes. I think that's my whole point. That is amazing that you can do it. But what worries me as your friend is that I know that you go into those dark places and I'm like, come back.
I'm much better now because one thing I did was I actually talked to Austin Butler about this. I said, when you get into those spaces, because you're such a method type actor, what are some of the things that you do? Like, do you have rituals by which you can come out of those situations? And so we talked about it a little bit. So, I won't get into that here, but it's basically you're in a container, you go into the ritual and this kind of paganistic notion of like, it's time to start. And then when you're ending, you're saying, okay, I say goodnight to you.
Yeah.
And then you come out of it, right? Somehow, I mean, it's talking simplistically.
I know. I like that. That's good. That's good enough. That's still hard to do.
It's so hard. I mean, that's
even when I was like working with people as their coach, right? Being in that vulnerable space with them and then having to leave that behind and then like go live my life was really hard.
Oh, really?
So hard. Yeah.
Like what would you latch on to that would?
I could feel their pain as an empath. So I could feel your pain.
But meaning then, you would be thinking about them? Is that what you mean? Like you would then start like looking at articles or thinking about how else you could help them and why you should. I think
it was more of a like
personal thing.
I'm connecting to something high and spiritual, and then you come back to the world and it's disconnected and disembodied and not whole, and you're not on a higher vibration. So now you're just dealing with assholes, like for lack of a better word. We'll just go simplistic. Someone's coming to you because they've reached a point where they've tried so many other things, therapy, doctors, whatever. Then they'll see into it. It'll be like, what do you see and feel? And then I'm so honest in my approach of that, I'll tell them, but it is an emotional wave that goes through my body. So to leave the wave behind and like leave the person who wants to help someone so I can then go be me and go write and be a parent and be like a partner, like all the things, that was really hard because I'd be so drained. I would just be empty. And it took me a while to learn how to connect and not feed it with my own energy, which is not what I do when I work on my podcast. It's not what I do when I write. It's all me. I'm like, just like, oh, I love this. Like, I want to connect. I want stories. I want people to know about other things in different perspectives and get out of your own way and just like do it. So like what I love about your story is you came on today and shared how you were like, I did it. I'm doing it. So do you have a deadline for yourself for when you want it done?
Well, it's constantly moving. I mean, I would like to be finished by the end of the year for sure. I'm editing, but I have a French editor who I would call my creative producer. So he and I talk ad nauseum about the story. We just can talk story and meaning and all those sort of things. So what's happening with the movie now is that it's taking its own personality. It's becoming whatever it wants to become, and I just want to listen to it.
Ah, right. The movie, like the script you sell, the script you shoot, the one that comes out after editing.
Yeah, yeah. And I really love this process because really see the movie now. I really see that I have a movie, which makes me feel so nice, so good these days, for sure. And I love shaping the performance. I love editing. I love the idea of taking moments. I want to show you just visually so it's easier. Like if you have 3 scenes, 1, 2, 3, I go, well, what happens if I put it over here? What happens if I overlap this a little bit? And I go and I take the sound from here, use the sound from here to continue. So the editing isn't conventional at all. There's a really unsettled balance about it, which I love because it just forces you to pay attention. Things like the dialogue might be going, so Alvie's saying something, but I'll cut to a shot where you don't see his mouth syncing up with the thing. It's just another dimension of what's going on. So you see a second layer of Alvie. And so I'm feeling a lot of emotional truth, it's really me writing a song, and it feels like I'm writing an entire album now. And each sequence is a song.
Are you going to ask U2 to give you the score?
That is in the plan because there's a lot of YouTube in it. So I have a plan on if I can't get them, and I'm going to lean into that idea by even, I think it's so quirky, this movie, that there's just all kinds of stuff going on. And one of them could be, I could literally have a frame or 3 frames that says, this is the film. I'm sorry, this is not the film it would have been, but I can't afford you to. And then you go back to the movie. Just things like that I think in that Ferris Bueller kind of way. I love Annie Hall in the way they break the fourth wall. There's animated things. You just do whatever you want because you just want to tell the story. And I love that. I've always said that the movie to me was always going to be my first album, or it was a punk album. It was going to be dirty. It was going to be,
gritty, raw.
Gritty, yeah, and not in a way that is
honest. It's honest. I like that word.
It's really a movie about coming clean. And the idea that the main nugget of the movie, in the way that, in Wizard of Oz, the nugget would be, there's no place like home. That would be the nugget of the movie. So in this movie, the working nugget, I should say, is your suffering is never going to end until you finally come clean. And I think that's such a universal theme in the world now because nobody is coming clean. There's just lies everywhere. Everybody's curating their authenticity on social media.
I know.
Let's come clean.
I know. That's why I liked your movie. Okay, so can we use that as your warning label? If I gave you a warning label, how about a warning label for your movie for a viewer?
Yeah, it's a movie about coming clean, for sure. It's a movie about America. It's a movie about Hollywood. It's a movie about being Asian, being Filipino. It's going to be tough for people to watch, I think.
Welcome. Walk into the mirror. I love that.
It's going to be really interesting because I think we're really going to see who are going to support my movies. Like, so last thing, which is a big part of I don't give a fuck really also means if I lose people, I lose people. But this is who I am. This is the story I wanted to tell. This is me coming clean. And if you can't be empathetic or understanding, or, I mean, ask me questions. Don't cancel me right away. Just ask me.
I
There's
don't know.
gonna be
I
some,
think you're speaking my truth. I live that every day. I'm like,
you
I
know,
don't know why I rub you. It's like, what is that? Or the come and
yeah.
go or the betrayal. Like I don't know how I inspire that in so many, but that's been my experience. It's bizarre, but
Lately, like a lot.
less now because my circle's much smaller. I'm pretty introverty, which is why I do this. So I would say, yeah, I think one of the last times I really let someone in, they ended up just being a wicked narcissist. I just got
When was
slammed
that?
by that. That was bad. That's another story.
Year-wise, when was that?
2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I was like, mm.
Yeah.
I kind of like, yeah. I mean, I might have been more neurotic and more broken and not quite healed, but like I'm pretty much still me. I'm just grown. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a grown up version of me. So ish, grown up
Yeah.
as much as I want anyway. But thank you, Vince, for joining me
Holly.
and from Gay Perry. And I can't wait for it to come out. And I'll just, whatever you need, I'm here. I'm here for
I'll
that.
put you on the list of new clips as they come out.
Yes.
Cool.
I would love that.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Holly Hughes Podcast.
Bye,
We'll see you
everybody.
next week.